Picture this. It's a Tuesday afternoon. The restaurant down the street has a 45-minute wait. Your colleague just got promoted. The stock market hit an all-time high last week. Everything feels fine. Then, almost overnight, the headlines change. And suddenly, people are scared. Not the dramatic movie-style panic you'd expect, but something quieter. Co-workers getting let go, friends putting off big purchases. A general feeling that something has shifted and nobody told you when it happened. That word starts getting thrown around everywhere. Recession. You've heard it. You've probably feared it. But here's what most people never actually understand. What a recession really is, why it happens, and more importantly, whether you're actually prepared to survive one. Because here's the thing, a recession isn't just a number on a government report. It has a way of showing up at your front door, in your paycheck, in your savings account, in your job security. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly what a recession is, why economists actually argue they're necessary, and the concrete steps you need to take right now to protect yourself when one hits. Because historically speaking, another one always does. Let's get into it. Okay, so what actually is a recession? If you ask an economist, they'll give you the textbook answer: 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. GDP, gross domestic product, is essentially the total value of everything a country produces. Goods, services, all of it. When that number shrinks for 6 months straight, officially you're in a recession. Simple enough, right? But here's where it gets interesting. That definition is almost too clean, because the real experience of a recession, the one that affects your life, isn't just about GDP. Think of the economy like a long-distance runner. For miles, they're hitting their stride. Strong pace, good breathing, crowd cheering. But eventually, the body starts to push back. The legs cramp, the breathing gets ragged, and the runner has to slow down whether they want to or not. That slowdown, that's a recession. And it shows up in more places than just GDP. The National Bureau of Economic Research, the body that officially calls recessions in the US, looks at a whole cluster of indicators. We're talking a significant decline in income, rising unemployment, falling industrial production, retail sales dropping, consumer confidence tanking. It's not one signal, it's everything tightening at the same time. And when you put it that way, a recession stops being an abstract statistic. It becomes something you can feel, at the gas pump, in your grocery bill, in whether or not your company starts doing restructuring. That's the real recession. And it starts long before any official announcement is made. So what actually causes a recession? Why does the economy, this massive complex machine, suddenly stall? The honest answer is, it can happen for several reasons. Sometimes it's an external shock. Nobody predicted a global pandemic shutting down the entire world economy in 2020. Nobody fully predicted the oil embargo of the 1970s that sent inflation spiraling. These are events that come from outside the system and break things fast. Other times, it's a bubble bursting. Remember 2008? For years, banks were handing out mortgages to people who couldn't afford them, packaging those bad loans into financial products and selling them as if they were gold. When the housing market cracked, the whole financial system cracked with it. The Great Recession wiped out trillions of dollars of wealth almost overnight. And sometimes, perhaps most surprisingly, recessions are triggered by the very institutions trying to prevent them. When inflation gets too high, central banks raise interest rates to cool things down. But raise them too fast, too aggressively, and you can choke off economic growth entirely. It's like slamming the brakes on a highway. You stop the car, but you might also cause a pileup. Now, to understand why recessions spiral once they start, let me take you to a fictional place. Welcome to Wee Wee City. In Wee Wee City, times are good. Everyone wants a new bike. The local bike shop is swamped with orders, so they do what any business would do. They raise their prices because demand is sky high. Business is booming. The owner hires more mechanics. Life is great. But prices keep climbing, and eventually they climb so high that people stop buying bikes altogether. They just can't afford it anymore. Now the bike shop has a warehouse full of unsold inventory and not enough cash coming in, so they make a painful decision. They lay off one of their mechanics. That mechanic, now out of a job, has to tighten their budget. They stop buying bread from the local bakery every morning, just a small cut. But for the baker, that lost income matters. The baker cuts back. The baker's supplier cuts back. And on it goes. Each person's financial pullback hurting someone else down the chain. This is what economists call the vicious cycle, or the domino effect. One job lost triggers a chain of spending cuts, which triggers more layoffs, which triggers more spending cuts. The whole economy feeds on itself, but in reverse. And that's why recessions, once they start, are so hard to stop quickly. It's not just one problem. It's a problem that multiplies with every passing week. Now, before you spiral, let's address the word that scares people even more than recession: depression. Because the moment things start looking rough, people start drawing comparisons to the 1930s. Breadlines, 25% unemployment. A decade of economic devastation. Here's the distinction you need to understand, and it matters. A recession is a cramp. Painful, disruptive, but temporary. The body slows down, recovers, and eventually gets back to running. Recessions typically last anywhere from a few months to a couple of years. GDP might drop 2 to 5%. Unemployment rises, but it bounces back. A depression is something else entirely. That's not a cramp. That's the body experiencing something closer to organ failure. GDP doesn't dip. It collapses, dropping more than 10%. Unemployment doesn't tick up. It explodes. In the Great Depression, 1 in 4 Americans was out of work. Banks failed by the thousands. People lost their homes, their savings, their futures. It lasted over a decade. The key difference? Scale and duration. A recession is a storm that passes. A depression is a storm that stays. Here's the reassuring part. Depressions are extraordinarily rare. In modern economic history, we've only experienced one Great Depression. Recessions, on the other hand, happen regularly. The US alone has had over a dozen since World War II. They are a normal, expected part of the economic cycle, as predictable as winter. The problem isn't that recessions exist. The problem is that most people are never prepared for one when it arrives. Which brings us to the part of this video that actually changes your life. So the recession is coming. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but eventually. And if there are already warning signs in the economy right now, the question isn't if you should prepare, it's how. Here are 4 concrete moves, not vague advice, actual steps. The single most powerful thing you can do before a recession hits is build an emergency fund. And I don't mean a small one. We're talking 3 to 6 months of living expenses, sitting in a liquid, accessible account. Here's why this is non-negotiable. During a recession, banks and lenders tighten credit. Lines of credit get pulled. Loan approvals drop. The safety nets people think they have, like a credit card or a personal loan, often disappear exactly when they're needed most. Cash is king in a recession, not because it earns great returns, but because it buys you time. Time to find a new job. Time to make strategic decisions instead of desperate ones. Your emergency fund is the moat around your financial castle. Without it, you're one bad month away from crisis. High-interest debt, credit cards, payday loans, buy now, pay later balances. These are the parasites on your financial health. And during good times, people tolerate them. They manage the monthly minimums and don't think too hard about it. In a recession, that strategy becomes dangerous. If you lose your income, even temporarily, those interest rates don't stop compounding. A $5,000 credit card balance at 22% interest doesn't care that the economy is struggling. It will bury you. Pay down high-interest debt aggressively, right now, before you need the money for something else. Every dollar you eliminate in debt is a dollar that can't come back to hurt you when things get tight. This one is about playing offense, not just defense. Here's a sobering fact. Research consistently shows that people who lose their jobs during a recession often experience long-term earning reductions, not just a temporary setback. Years of lower wages compared to people who stayed employed through the downturn. So the goal is to make yourself harder to lay off and faster to re-employ if you are. Update your resume before you need it. Identify the 2 or 3 skills in your field that make someone indispensable and build them now. Nurture your professional network while you still have a job. Because the unfortunate truth is, opportunities in a recession travel through relationships, not job boards. Also worth knowing, some industries are naturally more recession resilient. Healthcare, utilities, government, essential consumer goods. If you're in a more volatile sector, it's worth thinking about transferable skills and adjacent industries where your experience could apply. This one is counterintuitive, and it's where most people leave serious money on the table. When markets are crashing and headlines are terrifying, the natural instinct is to panic sell, get out, cut losses, go to cash. It feels logical in the moment, but history tells a completely different story. Some of the greatest wealth-building opportunities in modern history have happened inside recessions. When the 2008 financial crisis bottomed out, the S&P 500 was down nearly 57% from its peak. The investors who held steady, or better yet, kept buying, saw those positions multiply many times over in the recovery. Quality assets go on sale during recessions. Stocks, real estate, even business acquisitions. If you have income, if your foundation is solid, a recession isn't just a threat. It can be one of the most powerful financial opportunities of your lifetime. The key phrase there is, if your foundation is solid, which is why steps 1 and 2 come first. You can't think about opportunity if you're in survival mode. Here's the perspective that most financial media never gives you. Recessions are scary. They're disruptive. They cause real pain for real people, and we should never minimize that. But they are also the economy's way of hitting the reset button, clearing out excess, correcting imbalances, making room for what comes next. Every recession in history has been followed by a recovery. Every single one. The people who come out of recessions ahead aren't necessarily the luckiest or the most talented. They're the ones who prepared when it was comfortable, held steady when it was uncomfortable, and saw opportunity where others only saw fear. The best time to prepare for a recession was yesterday. The second best time is right now. And if you want to understand who's really pulling the levers during all of this, the institutions deciding when to raise rates, when to print money, when to intervene, check out our video on central banks. Because once you understand how they operate, the whole economic picture starts to look very different. See you in the next one.